Gamey Daddy.
Hello everyone, this is Emmond with Gamey Daddy and I'm here with another video from Tom Clancy's The Division. Today, I wanted to quickly put something in front of the community's eye, and that's pretty much the design intent and the reason why and how the developers designed and developed the classified gear sets. Now, before the classified gear sets were proposed to the community, it seemed like the developers were trying to answer and respond to a question or a need where people were asking for, the possibility of making the gear sets fresh. Like I think maybe, but based on this video clip that you're watching, I watched the state of the game again, the one from June something, the dates there, 2017 or so, and the developers were talking about releasing these gear sets, and they were talking about different intentions behind the design, like why they're making the gear sets the way that they made them. And this was before they posted it on a PTS, before it was tested by some members of the community, and then feedback was given, and then they eventually made whatever changes they desired to make, and then they put it out there. And some of the things that I found from this whole video clip, it's about 40 something minutes. If you want to go back and watch it, I mean, by all means, but honestly, there really isn't much that's going to be really new to you, but there are some really key details, because in this interview they're trying to keep a lot of details from everybody, but at the same time they were generous enough to share enough of the things that needed to be expected at that time. So this is us traveling back in time. But one thing you find in this video is the fact that these developers had an intention and an intent to design these classified gear sets for you to give up the use of all your other gear pieces. In fact, they even said it in one of the parts of the video here. They actually allude to the fact that they actually wanted people, and they were asking people if they were to farm and use these gear sets to give up the other gear sets. So a lot of people said things like, when the classified gear sets dropped, there weren't any, well, it killed build diversity and all of that. Actually, the intention was to make you give up your build diversity and enjoy the benefits of the classified gear sets. Because yes, the classified gear sets, according to the developers, was designed and intended to highlight the peak of what the gear sets are. I mean, so take for instance your favorite gear set in the game and all the characteristics of those gear sets. The classified gear sets were designed to help you now commit to fully playing that role whenever you donned that gear set. So if you were using or wearing sentries and you went for the 6-piece, now you've committed to being the sentries call player, which is a support role. The developer said it was a support role. I mean, they designed it, so who am I to argue? But your support role is to provide 100% or more damage to NPCs. So 100% damage to one NPC, and then when the marks spread and the 6-piece, then it will go to other NPCs in the area. They had to deactivate the 6-piece though, because they didn't want to shift the meta to Sentry's Call. Now, looking at Final Measure, according to the developers in this video as well, is supposed to be a bomb diffusing type deal, a utility set as well. So according to the developers, they designed it for you to be able to commit and get that 6-piece bonus, where if you defuse a grenade, then you give your team, if they're in the 15-meter range around you, you give them all buffs, and so you're intentionally going to get grenades and defuse them. There is no doubt that the developers actually wanted us to play specific roles while using these gear sets. And even the fact that people could or could not choose to use these gear sets, the gear sets were made to be so powerful that they were really appealing for people. And so everybody that I know that was still playing the game was pretty much playing the game to either farm for their gear sets, min-max them, and get even multiple, duplicates of the gear sets on various characters. So you didn't have to worry about, having to switch back to a specific character. But if you just had all the builds there, you just, swapped your loadouts. So the intention behind the classified gear sets was to pretty much create a class system within the game. And in this video, it's so interesting that they also discuss Reclaimer, and they discussed the 6-piece. And in fact, when Hamish asked the guys here at Red Storm, and by the way, Red Storm designed these classified gear sets, if you didn't know by chance, they did the development, the 5 and the 6-piece bonuses and all that stuff. And when he was asked, it's not Terry, the other guy, I don't know what his name is, when he was asked about the Reclaimer, he quickly jumped to the 6-piece, and all he said was, man, this is supposed to be a gear set where if your Reclaimer box is destroyed by an enemy, well, you have a chance with a cooldown for that box to show up again. Immediately it's destroyed, so you can drop it once it's destroyed, that's supposed to be a benefit for the reclaimer player. So the player is already committed to healing, and now they want that player to receive an added benefit when it comes to healing. And you can apply the same thought process to pretty much almost all the other gear sets, if not all the other gear sets. So in some sense, the developers making these classified gear sets pretty much did their best to respond to a need in the community. And then at the same time, the response that the developers are getting now, especially with people saying the classified gear sets are pretty much too strong or whatever, almost makes me scratch my head, because that's exactly the intention of the gear sets. And then another side of it too is the developers should have probably made everything just very overly strong to kind of throw away pretty much any metas that we may possibly have. Because right now with the first three, the top three, the Nomad, Predator, and Striker, they've created a meta around them in the Dark Zone and the PvP side of things. But the other gear sets somehow fell out of the meta because the developers were, kind of like tiptoeing around the situation, like, well, we don't want Tactician to hit a sticky bomb meta, and we don't want this to happen. And so I don't know what happened. Well, Deadeye, people were complaining that Deadeye was too strong, and so the developers had to make a 6-piece that was kind of weird and awkward. So in all, that's pretty much how I think and why I think the gear sets were made and what I think they were made to do, the classified gear sets. And anyone that's still complaining about the balance right now needs to focus on more important things like enjoying the game. And then you also have other problems, major problems that are plaguing console right now with Cronus Max. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of people, I bet you, have dropped their controllers because of that problem on console right now. So anyways, that's just my little spew. I just wanted to put out something there for the community to think about and talk about. I appreciate your audience and your time, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps us out to know what we're doing, and leave a comment. Let's know what's going on. If you're just coming back and seeing the content, just tell me how you're doing. I'll read the comments. I always try my best to read everybody's comment. Thanks once again. I appreciate you guys' time and audience, and I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.